The manga Level Drain Zetai Muzu no Bukensha, Level Drain Zetai Muzu no Bukensha, is set in a sunny, cozy village nestled among mountains and coniferous forests. The villagers walk along the road. Looking at such an idyllic picture, the protagonist informs them that he is cursed by this world. Two men smile in a friendly manner as they greet each other. One of them raises his hat. The villagers ask each other how they are doing and exchange news. A girl in a white apron and with her hair in ponytails with bright bows runs to her mother, smiling happily. A woman carrying a basket of white laundry asks her daughter to be careful not to fall. A smiling baby girl hugs her joyful mother while a black shadow flickers nearby. The girl looks at the dark silhouette with a puzzled expression. The weather changes, as if darkness is enveloping the village. The atmosphere becomes tense. The two men look confused. The girl clings tighter to her mother and points at a man in a black cloak passing by. The woman asks her daughter to be quiet and not to look at him. Before the villagers appears a guy in a tattered black cloak, the hood of which covers most of his face. He is holding a small sack in his hand. The villagers look around fearfully. They quietly discuss the guy, calling him a scavenger. Some people are frightened, others look annoyed, and some look at the hero with undisguised contempt and disgust. The guy walks indifferently past the people looking at him. The hero approaches one of the village buildings. He looks at the metal sign hanging above the door. An elderly man notices Ark. The men standing at the vendor's counter look askance at the boy who has entered the shop. The old merchant asks why the scavenger has come to him. He looks at the guest with suspicion. Talking among themselves, the men decide to get out of here as soon as possible. The guy in the raincoat places a small bag on the vendor's counter. The hero announces that he has something he wants to sell. He shakes out a sack full of different claws with hair, animal teeth, and feathers. Examining one of the fangs while holding it in his hands, the old tradesman grudgingly declares that it is some junk. The elderly man tosses a few bronze coins on the counter and says that's the maximum charge for everything. The guy is not happy with such an offer, because he knows it is only 20% of the market price. The hero indignantly declares that this is a robbery. The old merchant calls the guy who raised his voice at him nanny. The older man calls the hero scum and angrily declares that the guy can't swing rights, because he's just a trash bastard. The boy thinks about the fact that the inhabitants of this world may be in danger at every turn. He imagines the clawed paw of a blue monster. The hero presents three hunters in armor, who stand in front of a blue-skinned monster with glowing eyes, white hair, spikes, huge fangs and a horn. The monster is armed with a giant mace, and the eyes of other dangerous foul things glow behind his back. Guy represents the monster-fighting archers and swordsmen called adventurers. A picture appears before the guy's eyes, on which lie slain monsters red, blue, orange, brown and furry demons. Armed warriors stand next to the monsters. The guy thinks about the adventurers fighting monsters every day to get valuable and rare resources, as well as to increase their level. The hero represents a warrior in shining armor and with a huge blade in his hand. Coins fall from the adventurer's raised hand, and he stands on a mountain of gold. The hero thinks about the fact that level decides everything in this life. Looking at his empty palm, the guy realizes that in this world of levels his level is equal to 1. A guy with red eyes and black hair clutches his hand. His status is shown, level 1 adventurer. The depressed hero walks down the street of the settlement in a dark cloak, sharply differentiating himself from the other people in brightly colored clothes. The market square is crowded on this sunny day. The merchants behind the stalls are actively soliciting customers. The boy approaches one of the bakery stalls and asks the merchant to sell him a loaf of bread, calling the elderly man uncle. The peddler is surprised and pleased that Ark has come to him. The baker holds out a paper bag of bread to the boy and says that he just left some for him. The hero embarrassedly thanks the elderly man, holding out a few coins to the merchant. The boy thinks doubtfully about the fact that he has no money again. The baker turns to Ark. The boy looks surprised at the man who suggests he leave his job as an adventurer. Baker says with a smile that there are probably classes that Ark could excel in. The boy replies that it is too late, for he has been dubbed the scavenger. The hero thinks about the fact that no one needs him, because since childhood he dreamed of becoming an adventurer. But when he became one, it turned out that Ark was cursed. The boy presents a blue screen in front of him. The screen reads, "Unable to raise the level." Looking at the screen, the guy opens his mouth in surprise, reads the inscription and his eyes widen. Ark can't understand how it can be, because instead of a skill he got a curse that doesn't allow him to raise the level in any way. The boy recalls how, after killing the monster, he sat leaning on his sword. The monster's blue slime was visible around Ark and on his sword. The guy learns that his level has not been raised. The hero is stunned. Ark recalls how the demons, looking like blue slime, rose up and moved towards him. The boy didn't understand how he could get stronger, but he decided not to give up. Ark fought the monsters by chopping them up with his sword, but he didn't get experience points again. The guy kept fighting in hopes that one day he could level up, but it wasn't happening. Doomedly leaning on his sword, Ark realized that he would forever be with the first level. After a while, the guy ran out of money, and he began to scavenge the corpses of monsters, which adventurers left after the hunt. Swinging a knife, the hero stabs the blade into the body of a monster, over which flies fly. Ark with tired and sleepy eyes stands with a bag in his hand on a mountain of corpses, skulls and skeletons of monsters. It was during that period of his life that the boy was nicknamed Scavenger. Biting off a piece of bread, the guy thinks about the fact that no one needs the materials of first-level monsters, so the only chance of survival for him was to scavenge high-level monsters killed by others. The hero walks down the street of the settlement and eats his bread. The boy looks at the overbitten loaf of bread he holds in his scratched hand. Warriors with blades walk past Ark. They look haughtily at the boy. One of the adventurers suddenly pushes the hero. Ark falls to the ground. His bread ends up on the ground. One of the adventurers tramples on Ark's humble food. The hero is shocked to see his food destroyed. The adventurers encircle Ark lying on the ground. The warrior who crushed the bread calls the hero a wretched scavenger and says that he is disgusting. Ark calls his interlocutor by name, Zarg. The adventurous warriors taunt Ark. The bewildered boy looks at them and thinks the whole town knows about him being called a scavenger. These people hate Ark so much that they don't want to hire him for any job. Bowing his head, the boy looks at the trampled bread. The hero does not understand why everything happened like this. After all, he just wanted to realize his dream, but no matter what he does, he remains a scavenger for everyone. But Ark realizes that he has no choice, because otherwise he will starve to death. The hero enters a mysterious cave, which is a goblin lair, where mostly low-level goblins dwell. Moving through the cave, Ark hopes to find some dead monsters with rich loot. The hero stops abruptly, smelling a strange foul odor. He stares ahead in puzzlement, not understanding what could have gone bad here. Ark sees before him a huge dead dragon with a strong unpleasant odor emanating from it. Its wings and claws are torn and its skin has begun to rot. As he gets closer to the huge monster, the guy realizes that this dragon might be above level 200. The hero sees the dragon's body chopped up and rotting. Ark knows that the dragon's materials are worth dozens of times more than the drop from normal monsters. Examining the dragon, the boy sees that everything of value has already been taken by the warriors. He is disappointed that only a stinking corpse remains. Taking out the dragon's organs, the guy realizes that usually these innards are left behind, as they smell awful. Ark holds a knife in his teeth and decides that he doesn't care about the smell, because he has to survive somehow. The surprised boy accidentally fumbles for something hard inside the dragon's stomach. Ark draws his knife and cuts the stomach open. Inside, the dumbfounded guy sees the armor. Ark realizes he has found the breastplate. Suddenly, a red glow begins to emanate from the armor, scaring the hero. Ark pulls away, covering himself with his hand. A guy hears a voice, and can't handle the effects of magic. An unknown magical force orders the guy to put on his armor. The hero realizes that this voice is coming from the breastplate he found. Ark decides that whatever it is definitely dangerous. The guy's trying to escape from the cave. Suddenly Ark freezes in place, coming face to face with several aggressive goblins. The terrified guy notices that the level 1 goblins in front of him are grinning. Ark doesn't realize when they showed up. The hero draws his sword from its sheath, but realizes he's screwed. The monsters roar loudly and raise their clawed paws, heading for Ark. The worried guy puts his sword in front of him and tries to assess the situation. He sees that the goblins are also level 1, but Ark's equipment is too bad. The monsters lunge at the boy, believing him to be their prey. One of the goblins, with its tongue out, swings a dagger. Ark realizes that the monsters will kill him. With one swipe of his weapon, the goblin knocks Ark's sword out of his hands. The boy is terrified, pulling away. Ark realizes he's trapped. Looking at the approaching bloodthirsty goblins, the guy thinks he's going to die in this hole. Looking fearfully at the monsters, Ark regrets that his life will be cut short in such a pathetic way. Before the eyes of the hero flashes memories of eating bread while walking down the street, and how that bread lay on the ground, knocked out of his hands. Ark hears the call of the armor to put it on again. The boy feels the powerful magic coming from this armor. Turning back to the unknown force, Ark asks if it's going to eat him alive too. Looking at the approaching hungry goblins, the guy decides to put on his armor. He recoils fearfully from the attacking monsters. Ark confidently makes the decision that it is better to wear armor than to be killed by pathetic goblins. An unknown voice announces that the preparations are complete. A red magical glow emanates from the armor. The voice announces that the owner's registration is complete. The armor glows with a red glow. A voice reports that the emergency setting has been confirmed. Turning around, Ark sees magical flashes moving towards him. The guy takes a step. The smoke clears. The goblins look at Ark in surprise. A voice reports that the installation of the abyss armor is complete. Dark, white and gray smoke billows around the boy. Ark appears in black spiked armor glowing with a red light. In the guy's hands is a new sword. A guy surrounded by dark mist looks at his arm and spiked armor. The hero sees magical flashes coming off the armor and doesn't understand whether he is alive or already dead. A voice informs them that the owner's orders must be obeyed. The goblins run towards Ark, intending to attack him. The boy decides to trust his new armor. Hungry goblins jump up, waving their paws. Ark puts the sword in front of him and realizes that this blade is much sharper than the one he used before. The hero realizes that the monsters are also level 1, but now he has a new sword. The boy looks at the monsters in surprise. Ark chops one of the goblins with a single blow. The dead goblin, split in two by the sword, falls to the ground. Ark stares shocked at the slain monster. The guy's armor begins to glow with a golden light. The other goblins try to attack the guy from behind. Ark deflects the attack with his sword. His eyes glow red and a smirk appears on his face. The monsters split apart by the sword fly off to the sides. Ark is amazed that his body begins to glow again. While two more goblins jump on the guy, he ignores his enemies and tries to figure out why his body is glowing. Ark realizes that he feels like it's not even his body. Ark swings his sword with black and red smoke coming from it, not realizing what's going on. The guy's eyes turn completely red as he lunges at his enemies with his sword. For a second, Ark thinks it's the end. The guy's chopping up goblins. Magic flashes around him. After jumping, the hero lands on the ground in a fog. Looking at his hand, Ark is surprised to realize that he is alive. The puzzled hero freezes in place. The guy can't understand how, being a low level, he was able to kill 5 goblins. A magical light appears around the hero, and Ark tries to figure out where it came from. A voice informs him that the hero's level has been raised. A surprised Ark receives 5 messages that his level has been upgraded. The hero is puzzled. He realizes that his level has suddenly increased. A voice reports the levels being given out and says that the owner's former level was 0 and his current level is 6th. The guy is standing in the middle of the cave near the slain dragon and among the goblins he defeated. He froze in place, still not realizing how he had gotten the levels. The guy is shocked and doesn't understand what it all means, since he's not capable of getting experience points. Ark clenches his hand into a fist. The hero sees a glowing screen in front of him. He receives information that thanks to the armor of the abyss he was able to use the skill level absorption. A caption appears on the screen that says level takeover is a skill that gives you the ability to take the levels of defeated enemies. The guy looks at the screen in surprise, where his name appears. Level 6 is listed, and the attack and defense skills are listed. Ark is shocked and still trying to figure out how he was able to increase his level if he's not getting points. Looking at his hand and remembering the magical flames that surrounded him, the guy is puzzled to realize that he had indeed absorbed the enemy's levels. Ark shakes his head, thinking it's an obsession. Cradling his sword, the guy finally realizes that he can now level up. Picking up the sword, the hero decides that he has always understood how things should be, but now he is stronger. Magic surrounds the hero. The guy swings his sword, from which magical flashes emanate. Ark rejoices in the fact that he can now become stronger. The boy looks at the slain dragon, wrinkles his nose and covers it with his hand as the monster gives off a horrible odor. Standing in the middle of the cave and looking at the dragon, the hero rejoices that with the help of this monster he was able to increase his level. Suddenly Ark is thinking about something. Guy covers his face with his hand, startled by his own thoughts. Lowering his sword and looking at the slain enemies, the hero thinks that if he defeats all the monsters in this cave, he can become even stronger. Placing his hand on the armor, the hero decides that the goblins won't be able to wound him thanks to this armor. The guy is struck by the thought that if he uses his armor to the maximum and kills all the goblins, then, the hero does not have time to finish the thought, as he hears a strong rumble. Someone's clawed green paw smashes the ground. A huge shadow looms over Ark. While Ark can't realize what feeling he just felt, a huge monster with a gun stands behind him. Turning around, the boy thinks about the fact that there were not supposed to be strong goblins in this cave. Ark stares at his opponent stunned, mouth open in surprise. In front of the hero stands a level 35 goblin lord with a huge sharp blade. Behind the back of the cave defender are ordinary goblins, pulling away. Ark is amazed that a supreme goblin has shown up here. Turning around, the guy realizes he needs to run to the cave exit. Ark sees goblins who have climbed onto the dragon carcass. The boy grits his teeth angrily, realizing that the monsters were attracted to the dragon's scent. A voice coming from the armor informs him that the enemy is level 35, so it is recommended that he retreat immediately. A frightened Ark holds his sword in front of him and replies that he already knows that. A goblin lord attacks the hero. Ark realizes that he won't be able to escape from here. The boy dodges it by jumping aside. Ark is stunned by the power of the goblin lord's blow and looks fearfully at his opponent. The top-level goblin attacks again, and Ark tries to block its blow with his sword. This is very difficult for the hero. The goblin lord is considerably stronger, so he manages to push Ark away. The boy flies forward. Ark slams into the wall and wheezes in pain. Looking at the enemy in the trench in the ground that Ark left while flying into the wall, the guy realizes that the opponent has monstrous strength. The hero knows that he will not be able to cope with him despite the fact that he has raised the level. A frightened Ark sees the goblin lord approaching him, intending to strike again. The boy realizes that he is still too weak to fight. Leaning on his sword, Ark tries to rise. The guy tries to run away. The hero is frustrated that he only managed to raise his level, but it wasn't enough and he remains as unlucky as before, running away from the enemy. Ark leans against the cave wall and tries to catch his breath. The guy looks around and thinks about how he's going to get out of here. The hero remembers that the exit is guarded by the goblin lord's army. The boy turns around, trying to see something in the depths of the cave. Ark realizes he is too weak and thinks about waiting it out in a safe place until the goblins leave. Suddenly an ominous sound is heard from the cave, and the boy sees a goblin approaching. Ark is frightened. The hero is attacked by a level 1 goblin who is about to strike in a jump. Ark puts his hand forward and grabs the goblin by the head, complaining that he's annoying him. With a sharp move, Ark slams the goblin into the wall, killing it. The guy removes his hand and the goblin slides down the wall, leaving a trail of blood. The hero sees a glow of energy leaving the goblin's body. He thinks about the fact that in this world everything is decided by level. Looking at the dead goblin, the guy thinks about the fact that even this monster must realize the difference between them. As he realizes the difference between himself and the goblin lord, a voice reports that the level has been absorbed. Ark is puzzled. The voice of the armor says that the wearer's level has been confirmed and he is now 7th. Ark sees his body fill with glowing energy. The surprised guy suddenly remembers that he has the ability to increase levels. Ark thinks about the fact that he can continue absorbing levels to defeat even the goblin lord. The boy's gaze looks determined. He thinks about how he couldn't kill anyone before, but now everything has changed, and now Ark has to kill to survive. The hero looks deep into the cave. Another goblin appears, which Ark chops up with his sword. The hero kills 2 more enemies. One of the defeated goblins looks shocked at Ark, lying on the ground. The hero decisively engages the goblins and chops up 2 more monsters. The blood of his enemies drips from Ark's blade. Guy turns his back to the defeated goblins, energy glowing over their bodies. Squinting his eyes, Ark reasoned that only the strongest win in this world, and only those with high levels will survive. The glowing energy is directed towards the arch, decisively looking forward. The hero thinks about the fact that the weak will always obey the strong, and he has seen this in his own experience. Ark moves around the cave. Now the hero's level is 15. The guy looks forward in surprise, noticing something unusual. Ark sees torches on the walls and a branching path. The voice gives the guy a recommendation to look around the side caves. Ark turns the corner and notices something ahead. The guy goes further and is surprised to find mountains of gold. Examining the gold and chests, the guy realizes that all these treasures were stolen by goblins from humans. He thinks about the fact that even if all of this was obtained by level 1 goblins, normal humans would not be able to deal with them. Ark looks around, thinking he can find something useful here that will come in handy later on. One of the boxes catches the hero's attention. Opening the drawer, Ark is surprised by what he sees. The guy sees many bottles of blue liquid. A voice informs him that it might be a recovery potion. Examining one of the elixir flasks, the boy agrees with the voice. He decides to take the battle potion. A voice advises that there is a special space in the armor for storing potions. Ark stares in surprise at the flask of elixir. Suddenly his armor starts to glow, which scares the guy. Guy discovers a space where potions can be conveniently stored and places the elixir in it. Standing by the box, Ark says it's a useful item and thanks the voice for the advice. Looking at the golden mountains, the guy thinks about the fact that he would like to take some gold with him, but it would get in the way of the battle. Ark picks himself up and turns his back on the gold. the hero decides that his main goal is to return to the city alive. In the red-black smoke, Ark thinks about how he's already gotten stronger, and if he can get out of here, he'll get rich off the materials from the monsters. The guy clenches his hand into a fist and decides to move forward. Ark is about to walk on, but suddenly some sounds are heard behind his back. The surprised guy turns around, realizing he hears someone's voice. The hero runs to the crates. Ark is surprised. He sees a girl tied with ropes sitting behind the crates. The boy is shocked, as he did not expect goblins to steal people as well. A kidnapped girl with her mouth tied starts crying. Ark runs up to her and promises to help. The rope falls to the ground. Ark picks up the rope, coiling it up. The boy tells the former goblin prisoner that she's lucky since he spotted her. The girl removes the bandage from her face. The girl Mill from Rakuru village smiles happily and thanks the guy for saving her. The satisfied girl asks what her savior's name is. This question causes Ark to hesitate. Turning away from the girl, the guy calls his name. Mill is greatly surprised, realizing who he is. Ark asks the girl if the nickname Corpse Collector is familiar to her. Mill apologizes to Ark for her reaction to his name and explains that she's heard rumors about him. The girl looks at the rope that lies beneath her feet. Mill smiles a grateful smile. The girl tells Ark that he's completely different from the rumors she's heard. A surprised Ark turns to Mill. Smiling, the girl says the guy saved her life and she thinks he's nothing like the Corpse Collector. Ark looks at his interlocutor in surprise. Smiling broadly, Mill says that Ark-san is her hero now. What he hears amazes the boy. He thinks about how he always wanted to be an adventurer, to save people from danger. Taking a seat, the girl ties the pouch. Ark bids her to go on her way. The guy explains to Mill that he will walk her to the village. The surprised girl asks what he said. Ark replies that he didn't say anything, and heads deeper into the cave. The hero thinks about the fact that, even if only a little, but in this moment he feels happy. Ark and Mill are walking through the cave. Suddenly Ark, who is walking ahead, hears some sounds. The boy asks Mill to hide behind the rocks for a while. The girl obediently agrees. Looking straight ahead, Ark realizes he can sense the goblins approaching. Upon seeing an army of goblins, the hero realizes that there are quite a few of them. Aggressive goblins with spiked clubs are heading towards the arch. Pulling his sword out of its sheath, the guy assesses the situation and realizes that there are about 20 enemies ahead. The hero sees that all these goblins are of the first level, and his level is 15th. Ark's eyes light up with red flames. The guy holds his sword in front of him and declares to the goblins that they need to get ready to become his level very soon. Armed with clubs and knives, the goblins burst into action and run towards the arch. The guy decisively chops down the approaching enemies. Ark fights the goblins without a shadow of fear on his face. The hero's eyes glow with red fire. Blood splatters around Ark and fallen slain goblins, energy draining from them. A voice reports the absorption of levels. The character glows, taking in the energy. A goblin with a barbed baton leaps to strike Ark. The guy instantly deflects the blow, realizing that absorbing levels gives him the ability to attack even faster. For bloodthirsty goblins try to attack Ark from behind. The guy jumps up sharply, rising high above the monsters. The goblins look at the enemy in surprise. Landing lands a sharp jab to the body. The guy kills all the enemies, and a voice informs him that the levels are being absorbed. One of the goblins takes off from the impact and screams in the air. Ark smiles contentedly. Jumping up with sword in hand, the guy grabs the goblin. Not reacting to the goblin's scream, Ark strikes. The guy's unfazed. The surviving goblins are shocked as the guy chops up their fellow man. The goblins scream and rush into battle. Ark's eyes blazing, he heads towards his enemies. The guy makes precision strikes, and the slain goblins fall beside him. A voice announces the confirmation of the wielder's level. Ark's face is stained with dust and blood. A voice reports that the owner's current level is 35. Mill peeks out from behind a rock and asks if she can come out of hiding now. Ark replies that it is too early. Mill looks around fearfully. Ark looks at someone and says that he has spilled much blood of his opponent's kin, and he finally shows up himself. A goblin with a blade appears in front of the guy. A huge goblin lord with burning eyes approaches Ark. The guy stares determinedly at the enemy, mouthing his name. Ark is pleased that the goblin lord has finally arrived. The goblin leader growls angrily. Ark decisively points his blade at the enemy. The goblin lord clenches his hand into a fist. The hero tells the enemy that he is no longer the weakling he was when they first met. The lead goblin swings his blade. Swinging his sword, Ark warns that the enemy will not defeat him so easily. Hero strikes his opponent, calling him a fool. The goblin lord grasps his wounded side. Blood flows from his wound. Ark is surrounded by aggressive lower-level goblins. The guy counts the goblins, and after reaching 8, decides that there are about 10 enemies. The hero holds his sword in front of him as the goblins circle him. Ark thinks about the fact that he wouldn't want to be distracted by petty things while the leader of the monsters is alive. The goblins come closer to the guy, and he asks Mill to throw him knives. The girl pulls knives out of her pouch. She tosses the guy a belt of knives, yelling for Ark to catch them. Guy and the goblins see knives fall out of his belt and fly chaotically in different directions. A worried Mill apologizes for that throw. Smiling, Ark replies that it's okay. The guy catches 2 knives. With quick and deft blows, Ark kills his enemies. Hero tosses knives. The guy throws 2 knives at the goblins' heads. With quick movements, Ark catches all the knives thrown to him. The guy holds all the knives he catches. Ark crosses his arms, holding the knives between his fingers like claws. The boy warns that the goblins are out of luck. The confident hero says his enemies shouldn't have gotten in his way. Raising his knife-wielding hands above him, Ark tells the goblins that their desire to help the Overlord has only made his situation worse. In one sharp motion, the guy throws all the knives he was holding, killing all the goblins standing nearby. The hero stands next to the corpses of enemies. A voice reports that the level absorption was successful, and now the armor owner's level has been raised to 45. The guy's gaze looks indifferent. The Goblin Lord tries to strike a sharp blow with his blade from the hero's back, but Ark blocks his blow with one movement. The guy says that he is now level 45, so he is now much stronger than his opponent. The Goblin leader swings his blade again and strikes, which Ark manages to block, but it's getting harder for the boy to hold back his opponent's onslaught. Ark doesn't understand where this pressure came from. After all, his level is much higher than that of a huge goblin. The puzzled guy jumps back. A voice warns Ark that this monster has a bracelet that increases its combat performance. The goblin leader exhales noisily and swings his blade. Looking at the enemy, the guy tries to figure out how the monster could have an item that increases stats. Ark notices a bone bracelet on the monster's arm. The character represents an equipped adventurer and thinks about the fact that it is usually quite difficult to raise a level. And for this reason, warriors use items that increase characteristics to become stronger. The boy presents a helmet with horns, beside which are 3 red arrows. He recalls an iron gauntlet, near which crossed blades are placed. Near the cape presented by the hero, there are 2 large arrows showing an upward direction. There are 3 blue arrows next to the spiked shoulder pad, and a blocking sign next to the armband. The character presents a sword with a shield icon next to it. The skull beads represent black magic, and the 3-dimensional cross symbolizes gaining superpowers. Looking at the goblin leader, the surprised guy thinks about the fact that he didn't know that monsters could equip items as well. Raising the blade that Ark clutches tightly with both hands, the lad decides that the target is now clear to him. The goblin lord swings his weapon aggressively. Ark runs towards him with sword in hand. The boy realizes that he needs to destroy the bracelet. Ark manages to jump up the moment the goblin leader strikes. The monster's blade hits the ground. Looking at the aggressive opponent, the guy realizes that the fight is not going to be easy. Ark closes his eyes for a second, and abruptly opens them, deciding to give it his best shot. Adopting a fighting stance with sword in hand, the guy stands in front of the monster and decides to use all his strength. As he jumps in, Ark tries to counterstrike his opponent's jab. The guy's about to throw a punch. The Goblin Lord is angry. He stomps, and the ground beneath the giant goblin's foot falls through. The goblin leader throws a punch and Ark tries to fend it off. The guy falls to the ground, holding his sword in his hand. Rising quickly, Ark says that this isn't the end. In his side vision, the guy notices the goblins he killed, with his knives sticking out of their bodies. Ark runs toward the enemy, holding a sword in one hand and 2 knives he pulled from dead goblins in the other. The guy throws a knife at the enemy. The huge goblin puts his cleaver blade in front of him, defending himself with it like a shield. With a sharp movement, the guy sends another knife into the enemy. The goblin leader fends off a weapon flying in his direction. The surprised monster leans over to Ark, looking at him with huge red eyes. The Goblin Lord puts his weapon in front of him, but Ark prepares to attack. The behemoth doesn't realize what the guy is doing, jumping away from him and pushing away from his enemy's weapon. Doing a somersault in the air, Ark finds himself over the monster's shoulder, flying past a giant goblin. The guy says he forgot to say something important. The hero's gaze looks determined. The enraged enemy tries to repel Ark's blow, but the guy manages to shatter his bracelet, from which magical waves depart. The hero says that this bracelet was his goal from the very beginning. The bracelet falls to the ground. Ark lands a body shot, satisfied with the job done. The surprised Goblin Lord looks at his opponent. Smirking, the guy says there will be no more surprises. Magic smoke billows around the hero. Looking at the enemy with a confident look, the lad turns to him. He recalls meeting the goblin leader at the entrance to the dungeon and says that the monster then saw a weaker version of Ark. The guy looks at the broken knuckles left by the bracelet. Ark says confidently that he is now stronger than the enemy, and now the goblin leader should run away in fear. Sarcastically, the guy compliments that the huge goblin might try to escape, but it's unlikely to succeed. The giant monster is heading towards Ark with a snarl. The boy looks at the enemy in surprise. The enraged hero jumps up, raising his sword above his head and swinging it. Ark's sword glows pink as the hero strikes his opponent. The goblin leader tries to defend himself by covering himself with his weapon. The force of the blow is enough to make the huge goblin lose its balance. The goblin lord falls to the ground, shattering it. The monster coughs up blood while lying on the ground. Ark approaches the enemy in a red magical glow. His sword glows. Guy asks if the opponent is afraid of his power. Ark jumps up over the monster lying on the ground and says that the monster's life is now on the line. With a sharp blow, the hero knocks the weapon out of the enemy's hands. His blade slams into the ground. Guy thinks about what will happen if he defeats the Goblin Lord. Before the hero's eyes are the ghosts of people who humiliated him, calling him a first-level corpse collector and telling him they were sick of him. The confident hero holds his sword in front of him and presents the shadow of his past image at his back. He says he is ready to rid himself of his weakness forever. The Goblin Lord swings around, preparing to hit the guy with his fist. Ark strikes the enemy with a sharp blow. Blood spurts from the huge goblin's wound. The defeated monster falls to the ground. Standing next to his breathless body, the boy says that thanks to his enemy, he will become even stronger. The slain goblin leader lies face down on the ground. Ark stands beside him and thanks his defeated foe for his strength. Glowing blobs of energy leave the monster's body and head towards Ark. A voice reports that the wielder's level has been raised. A red haze is billowing over the guy. He is standing in a glowing circle. A voice informs that the hero's level has been raised to 80. The boy calls out to Mill, telling her that she can come out now. The girl cautiously peeks out from behind the rock she was hiding behind. The surprised girl, standing next to Ark, looks at the slain Goblin Lord. She is amazed that the boy was able to defeat such a strong opponent. A delighted Mill with a flushed face informs Arksan that he is now the strongest adventurer in the place. Ark ponders what this means for him. The guy points the knife at the dead enemy's head. Ark gets a new material, a big fong of the Goblin Lord. The boy is happy to have gotten such a trophy. A satisfied Ark thinks about how he never even dreamed that the day would come when he would be able to mine such a rare and valuable material. A smiling Mill, with a pouch in one hand, extends her other hand to Ark and says she'll carry his trophies. The sack contains the blade of the Goblin Lord, as well as a cursed bone. Ark thanks the girl with a smile for helping him with the materials. Mill smiles broadly. The girl replies that the guy has nothing to worry about, since he saved her life, so it's not hard for her to help. Looking at the goblin leader, the girl asks what they will do with the monster's body. Ark replies that he has already gathered all the necessary materials. The boy rubs his chin thoughtfully. The boy rubs his chin pensively, thinking that he doesn't need to hide anymore, so he can go back to the village. A surprised Mill wonders what Arksan is thinking about. The guy doesn't hear the girl calling him. He is focused on his thoughts. The hero thinks that if he leaves the surviving goblins in the cave, they might attack the village again and kidnap the girls living there. Ark asks Mill, standing behind him, if she will stay with him a while longer. The surprised girl replies that she doesn't mind, but wonders where they will go. Turning to his companion, the hero says he will not allow any more kidnappings. Determined to go forward, Ark decides that he will destroy all the goblins in this cave. Mill follows him. After accomplishing his plan, Ark suggests the girl to go back to the village. It is sunny weather when the guy and the girl with their bags over their shoulders enter the village. The hero's level is now 100. Ark grinned as he remembered that he was level 1 when he left this village, and now he was already at level 100, so he had risen quite a bit. The boy's face becomes serious. He thinks about the fact that he can defeat most of the monsters in the area at such a high level. Ark glows with happiness, happy to finally be a true adventurer. A surprised Mil interjects what the guy just said. The girl confidently states that she has never heard of an adventurer with a 3-digit level number. Mill assures Ark that he is no longer a novice, but the village's strongest adventurer. The boy thinks about it in surprise. The hero agrees with Mill. The boy rubs his chin, reflecting on the fact that he had never seen adventurers with such a high level before. Ark recalls explaining to a surprised Mill in the cave that he could absorb the levels of slain enemies and told the girl that he himself was shocked when he realized it. A smiling Mill tells Ark that he can become even stronger with this skill. The embarrassed girl smiles broadly, clenches her hand into a fist and tells the guy she'll hold her fists for him. Ark and Mill smile at each other while talking. At that moment, someone approaches them. The adventurers, who used to mock the hero, smirkingly greet him, calling the guy a corpse collector. Ark turns around unhappily and calls one of the adventurers by name, rolling his eyes. Zarg asks the hero what kind of armor he's wearing. The adventurer sarcastically says that since Zarg can't level up, he must have decided to bet on equipment. Zarg's friends laugh. The blonde-haired adventurer Riley says that Ark remains trash that way, even when wearing beautiful armor. Laughing, Zarg says with a sneer that Ark remains a level 1 weakling and no amount of equipment will help him with that level difference. Ark abruptly snaps out of his seat. The hero instantly finds himself near the adventurers and puts a knife to the throat of the dazed Zarg. The boy informs him that the adventurer is fed up with him. Ark with a cold stare politely asks Zarg to do him a favor and shut up. The shocked adventurer stares at the blade of the blade at his throat. He does not understand what is happening. Zarg gets angry and calls Ark a freak. Adventurer swings his leg over to strike his opponent's head. Zarg pushes Ark away and demands that the guy not get cocky. The adventurer pulls a blade with a crooked blade from behind his back and swings it, calling Ark a corpse collector again. The blade cuts through the air. A dazed Zarg can't understand what has happened. The adventurer sits on the ground and his blade flies aside, knocked out of his hands by Ark's sword. A stunned Zarg says this can't be happening. The other adventurers held their blades in their hands and opened their mouths in surprise as they watched. Ark turns to them and asks if they want to try and attack too. The frightened adventurers look at the hero. Zarg shakes with fear and looks at his hand where the blade was. The adventurer says he is level 20. Zarg lowers his head. He doesn't understand how he could have lost to a first level player. The hero says with a chuckle that if Zarg has level 20, he's a weakling, since the adventurer is several times weaker than Ark. One of the adventurers suggests that Zarg check out Ark's level. Zarg opens the player panel. He looks shocked to see that Ark has level 100. The adventurer thinks this is some kind of joke. Zarg raises his gaze to Ark, trying to see if it's true. Looking at his intimidating opponent, the adventurer fearfully asks Ark what kind of monster he is. The hero sighs, asking why he keeps getting insulted, first being called a corpse collector and now a monster. Ark reports with a smirk that he's a regular adventurer. The hero asks the adventurers what's wrong. His opponents flee in fear. As they run away, Ark Riley remarks that the adventurers have made great speed. Mill, who is holding the bags of loot, says with a smile that Ark has indeed changed. The girl says she's happy for Ark. The boy smiles back. Mill suggests moving on. A guy and a girl are on an empty street. Mill offers to tell everyone about Ark's new abilities. The shop door opens. Ark walks into the room. The peddler looks at the visitor unhappily, asking why he has come. Ark announces with a smile that he wants to sell the materials. The merchant grudgingly calls Ark a corpse collector. The shopkeeper angrily tells him not to waste his time, because he must have brought some garbage again. Ark smirks. The merchant looks surprised when Ark shows him the contents of his sack. The boy asks the man if he considers it trash. The merchant is shocked. Ark, smiling, holds the Goblin Lord's fang in his hand. The merchant considers the huge fang. The shopkeeper stares at the artifact. He asks if it is a fake, and where Ark got such a valuable artifact. The hero smugly reports that he has defeated the leader of the goblins. The merchant replies that he can't take his word for it. Mill, standing behind Ark's back, happily confirms the guy's words. The girl pours out gems and fangs from a second pouch. The dumbfounded merchant looks at the valuables on the counter. A satisfied Ark asks if the merchant will buy the offered goods. Looking at the glittering stones, Ark says that if the shopkeeper isn't going to buy the artifacts, he'll find another buyer. The surprised merchant hastily agrees to buy everything Ark offered, explaining that he would not turn down such rare materials. The hero replies with a smile that he hopes the merchant appreciates these artifacts. Ark and Mill are in the market square. The boy approaches the baker's shop. The elderly man smiles welcomingly. The hero shows a sack filled with gold coins. The elderly man is surprised, not realizing where the guy got so much money. The hero proudly announces that he was finally able to defeat the strong monster. The elderly man sincerely congratulates the satisfied Ark. Emotionally, he hugs the guy. The old tradesman repeats several times how happy he is for Ark. The boy is surprised by this reaction. The hero smiles when the older man says that he is indeed very happy. Suddenly Ark turns around, hearing some noise. He sees the locals run up to the wooden archway at the entrance to the village and stare off into the distance. The guy asks the older man and Mil to wait for him here. The hero runs away. Ark sees two enraged werewolves collapsing a wooden fence. The monsters growl menacingly. One of the monsters rushes towards a girl in a mustard sundress. The frightened villager tries to run away screaming. The spontaneously appearing Ark decisively strikes. A guy asks a girl with long blonde hair who has fallen to the ground if she is okay. The frightened girl answers in the affirmative. Looking at the werewolves standing across the street and snarling, the hero asks who they are. Getting no response, the guy says it doesn't matter. Smirking, Ark places his hand on the hilt of the sword in the scabbard. taking out his sword and holding it in front of him. The guy tells the monsters that they shouldn't have shown themselves in the village today, because they won't get any further. A mob of werewolves with burning eyes, sharp fangs, and huge claws stands before Ark. The snarling monsters are level 8. Ark thinks about the fact that he can't let this group of werewolves into the village. The terrified villagers are about to call Zarg and his group for help, but realize that the adventurers have disappeared somewhere. Ark recalls Jarg and his friends running away, terrified of him. With a determined look at the werewolves, the boy realizes that he has to take responsibility for the safety of the villagers on himself. The snarling werewolves attack Ark, trying to grab him with their claws. The guy jumps up, noting to himself that the level 8 monsters pose no danger to him. Suddenly werewolves infiltrate the village, beginning a hunt for the locals. Ark notices in a panic that there are a lot of residents around and we need to keep an eye out for them. One of the werewolves pounces on a villager with burning eyes. Ark realizes that if he does nothing, everyone here will be killed by these monsters. The werewolf tries to grab the terrified villager, but Ark manages to cover the guy with himself. The werewolf hits the hero with a clawed paw. Ark turns around sharply and kills the werewolf with one strong blow. The hero asks a villager who has fallen to the ground if he is injured. The frightened guy in the olive t-shirt shakes with fear, but answers in the negative. A surprised villager recognizes Ark as the one they call the corpse collector. Ark replies firmly that he can be called whatever he wants, but he has more important things to do right now. The hero snaps out of his seat and runs towards the werewolves. As he runs, the guy thinks about the fact that the villagers can call him whatever they want, but he won't leave them for dead. Ark strikes the next werewolf. One of the men recognizes the brave warrior as the corpse collector. The villager is tearfully shocked that Ark is saving them. Waving his sword, the hero resolutely rushes into battle. Ark rushes toward the werewolf, warning the behemoth that he's finished. The guy kills the monster with one punch. Energy emanates from the werewolf. The voice of the armor reports that the level has been absorbed. Flashes of light pierce Ark's body. A voice reports that the owner's level is being counted. The hero's level is now 172. The guy is surprised to notice that he has risen to 72 levels. The hero recalls that there were 10 werewolves in front of him. He is puzzled that killing 10 werewolves was supposed to bring 80 levels. Ark realizes that he has lost sight of one werewolf. He turns around, hearing the werewolf growl. He sees a monster sitting on the roof of one of the buildings preparing to jump, and a little girl standing below. An alarmed Ark runs towards the werewolf. The monster jumps off the roof. Werewolf is looking to clinch with the girl, landing some nice shots. Ark estimates the distance between them. The guy's anxious. Ark is worried that even with this high level, he won't be able to save everyone. A little girl notices a werewolf jumping off a roof. The werewolf is close to the child. Ark realizes that he will not accept defeat. Clutching the blade in his hand, he thinks about throwing the sword. The guy sees that he only has one chance. Swinging the blade, the hero realizes he doesn't want to regret anything. He throws his sword forward, deciding to take his chances. The girl covers herself with her arms, trying to defend herself from the werewolf attacking her. Ark's sword in flight. The blade pierces the werewolf's body. The werewolf crashes into the wall from the force of the blow. Ark approaches the child. The girl crouches down, covering her head with her hands. The girl is happy that Ark saved her and calls the guy corpse gatherer bro. A little girl asks Ark, who smiles at her, if he has come to save the villagers. The boy answers in the affirmative. He is glad that the child is okay. The smiling girl thanks Ark. The boy says goodbye to the friendly girl, waving back at her. He is happy that he was able to save the child. Ark's gaze turns icy as he turns the other way. The guy is surrounded by villagers. Some of them clench their hands into fists. One of the residents refers to Ark as the corpse collector and informs him that those present have a conversation for him. Ark smiles indulgently, realizing that he should have expected the villagers to be disgruntled. After all, they were saved by the corpse collector. The man standing across from Ark addresses him again, calling him an offensive nickname. Ark turns away and informs them that it's time for him to leave, as the villagers definitely don't want to see the face of the corpse collector. Someone asks Ark to stop. The guy turns around and asks what's wrong. Ark hears the gratitude in his voice. The guy rounds his eyes in surprise. The man smilingly thanks Ark for saving the villagers. The people standing nearby also smile welcomingly. The man says Ark was willing to sacrifice his own life to save them. The elderly man adds that thanks to him, no one was hurt. The man who speaks on behalf of the villagers sincerely thanks Ark. Ark is surprised. A woman in a mustard dress appears in front of the guy, holding the hand of her daughter, the same girl Ark saved. She asks the hero to listen to her. Looking at her smiling daughter, the happy woman expresses her gratitude. The woman thanks the hero for saving her daughter from death and bows her head to him. The embarrassed guy asks the woman to raise her head. Ark says there's no need to thank him, because he just wanted to help and he did. Lowering his gaze, the guy says that he used to collect loot from corpses and that won't change. Ark's gaze becomes determined. The hero clenches his hand into a fist and says that he now has the power to help others. The guy is adamant that he will now become an adventurer helping people. With a friendly smile, Ark offers the villagers to look out for him. The hero says he will be immensely grateful for it, and leaves. The boy proudly thinks about the fact that on this day he has turned from a pathetic corpse collector into an adventurer who saved the village from destruction. The next day is sunny weather. The villagers are quietly going about their business. A joyful Mill is about to say something. The girl sees Ark in a black cloak walking in front of her. Mil catches up to the guy and greets him, smiling happily. Ark turns around, hearing Mill's voice. The girl puzzled asks where the guy's armor is. The hero replies with a smile that if she's asking about the armor of the abyss, he's wearing it. The guy snaps his fingers. Ark instantly finds himself in his armor surrounded by turquoise light. The boy explains that in the morning he discovered an additional feature of this armor, allowing him to put it on and take it off whenever the owner wishes. Mill claps her hands enthusiastically. Looking at his arm, Ark says that thanks to that armor, he was finally able to be a real adventurer, and boy is he glad he found the armor in that cave. Suddenly Ark remembers the slain dragon from the goblin cave and wonders how it could have gotten there. Walking down the street with Mill, the guy convinces himself that it's not worth thinking about, because it doesn't matter how the dragon corpse got into this cave. At the same time, a scream is heard in the dark space, urging you to run faster. The action unfolds in a goblin cave not far from the dragon's corpse. Zarg runs through the cave and shouts to his friends that they need to speed up to get away from the enemy. The frightened adventurers run through the cave and ask Zarg to save them, turning around periodically as someone is chasing them. Zarg is startled to see someone behind him. Turning around, he says he doesn't understand how such a monster ended up here. The adventurer notices a huge yellow glowing eye in the darkness. Zarg sees purple magical flashes and funnels of light appear around his eye. The flashes of light grow brighter and the eye turns towards Zarg. The boy sits down, realizing that this could be the end of his life. The eye stands out against the black blobs of energy. A huge flash of light heads away from him towards the adventurer. The light fills the space around him. At this time, Ark, who is in the village, abruptly turns around. The hero thinks he felt something strange. The backstory of how Zarg and his friends ended up in a goblin cave is told. A wounded blue cyclops tries to escape from the adventurers. Zarg, who is currently level 20, asks his friends to run faster and tells them that they have almost finished the monster. His level 16 and 17 friends overtake Zarg after listening to his command. Cyclops runs into the cave. The adventurers stop at the entrance to the cave and conclude that the Cyclops has hidden inside. Zarg is angry when he says that because the adventurers were not in the village when the werewolves attacked, they were fined a hefty sum. The guy heads towards the cave, explaining that for this reason there is no way they should miss this prey. A wounded Cyclops walks through a cave. He notices a strange purple haze. The monster follows the magical fog. Cyclops discovers the body of a slain dragon. Smelling the odor, the monster looks up somewhere. He opens his fang mouth, preparing for a meal. At this point, the adventurers enter the cave, realizing that the monster must be somewhere ahead. The adventurers froze in place in amazement. They cover their noses, smelling the foul odor that is about to make them vomit. A surprised Zarg asks his friends if they see what he sees. The adventurers spot a Cyclops greedily devouring the dragon's corpse. Taking a bite of a piece of meat, Cyclops rolls his eyes. One of the adventurers anxiously asks his friends to wait, for something is clearly wrong here. The adventurers see the shadow of a Cyclops, whose shape begins to change. The monster appears to have 3 eyes instead of 1. Zarg is startled, saying it sounds like an unfunny joke. At this time, Ark is walking through the forest, following his premonition. Black clots of magic swirl around him. Focusing on his sensations, the guy realizes that it wasn't just a weird premonition, and he actually feels someone unusual. Upon approaching the goblin cave, the hero decides he has some sort of connection to the place. The guy is surprised when his armor starts to vibrate. Ark's gaze becomes sharp. He decides to find out what this is all about. The boy advances deeper into the cave, noticing that the smell is getting stronger, which means there must be a dragon corpse ahead. Ark shocked surprised. Ahead is a huge winged Cyclops, its eye glowing with red fire. The monster is holding a human corpse in its paw. Next to it lies another corpse. There is blood all around the monster. Cyclops notices Ark. He throws the man's corpse against the wall. A giant monster looms over Ark, gritting his teeth. The hero thinks about the frightening aura around him, and he hasn't met any demons like this yet. The boy's gaze becomes confident. Ark thinks that since he is now level 180, he can't lose. The boy swings his sword, which emits a red-black flash of light. Ark thinks that before the monster makes his move, he should be able to attack it first. A voice warns Ark that the level difference is too great, so avoiding battle is recommended. The hero is surprised. Suddenly the Cyclops attacks Ark, hitting him with a huge fist. The guy doesn't have time to react. Ark is amazed and frightened. The guy falls to the ground with great speed and his sword flies away. The hero doesn't understand why this happened. The voice recommends him to check the status of the enemy. Ark opens the player panel and is amazed at the information he sees. The guy discovers that the Abyss Cyclops in front of him is level 200. Ark is surprised to see such a high-level monster. Flashes of light appear around the Cyclops' eye, as if it were storing energy. The voice reports that a powerful buildup of energy has been detected in the area of the monster's head. Ark is lying on the ground. He doesn't have the strength to get up. The voice recommends immediate retreat. Powerful flashes of light appear around the Cyclops. The voice repeats its recommendation several times, asking Ark to retreat immediately. The guy gathers all his strength into a fist and forces himself to move. Ark realizes that he needs to get up immediately. Gritting his teeth, Ark thinks about the fact that he needs to do something. Looking at the Cyclops, whose huge eye is generating energy, the guy realizes that if he doesn't do anything, he's finished. The Cyclops glows with a purple light. The voice starts counting down, telling him that there are 10, 9, 8 left before the attack. Ark tries to get up with his last strength. He wonders if he's going to die here. The guy manages to get to his knees, leaning on his sword. A voice tells him that there are 7, 6, 5 to go. Leaning on his sword, Ark forces himself to stand up. The guy is trying to get up when a voice informs him that there are 4 left. 3. The voice counts down the last 2 seconds and a bright beam of light of immense power bursts out of the Cyclops' eye. Ark doesn't have time to cover up and flies off to the side. A hard blow slams the guy into the wall. The hero's eyes close. Blood drips from Ark's wound. He thinks he's losing consciousness. Ark lies on the ground. Cyclops looks around. The monster is leaving the dungeon. Ark comes to his senses abruptly. The guy tries to get up on shaky arms. He doesn't realize what has happened. A voice informs him that the enemy has left the cave. Perhaps he mistook the hero for a dead man. Rising up, Ark says that Cyclops was definitely wrong, though the guy was indeed close to death. Ark takes a seat with his back against the wall. His face is covered with scratches. A voice informs him that serious wounds have been discovered. The boy remembers the potions he found in the goblin lair. The hero pulls out a single flask containing a blue healing potion. Ark drinks the elixir. The boy rises, realizing that he is now able to move more easily, so should thank the goblins for their potions. Looking at the exit of the cave, Ark realizes that he needs to catch up to the huge Cyclops. The guy thinks about the fact that the monster is definitely headed towards the village. Ark is surprised to freeze in place when he hears someone call him a corpse collector. The hero realizes that this voice is familiar to him. Ark sees a bloodied Zarg sitting against the wall. The adventurer's head is down. Zarg lifts his head and tells Ark that he saw the potions in his possession and demands that he give them back. The adventurer says it's too valuable an object for someone like Ark. Zarg is missing part of his arm and has a hole in his chest. A trickle of blood runs from the adventurer's mouth. He says that as soon as he gets the elixirs and heals his wounds, he'll run away from here right away. Zarg assumes that the monster has gone to the village, so while it is distracted, he hopes to survive. Zarg angrily rushes Ark. The adventurer screams, demanding that Ark give him his potions immediately. Zarg coughs up blood. With his head down, the adventurer begs Ark to help him as he is in unbearable pain. The hero asks the armor of the abyss if his potions can heal Zarg's wounds. The voice answers in the negative, as the adventurer has too many mortal wounds and the chances of survival, even with the use of potions, will remain nil. Ark looks at Zarg's bleeding wounds. A voice informs him that the adventurer will die in a few minutes from blood loss. The hero sighs sadly, and says that, in that case, he'll ask one more thing. Ark asks if the level absorption skill works on humans. The voice answers in the affirmative. When he approaches Zarg, Ark says that he can't help him anymore. The adventurer replies that he has already realized that. Coughing, Zarg says he wants to be put out of his misery and for this pain to end soon, but perhaps he wants too much. Ark replies that he knows one way to end Zarg's torment. The adventurer, head down, replies that he is not stupid and understands everything. Calling Ark the corpse collector, Zarg asks him to carry out his plan. Raising a haggard look at Ark, Zarg asks to be killed. The character says he honestly hated Zarg the whole time. Lowering his eyes, Ark admits that he will miss the adventurer now. The blade of Ark's sword gleams in the darkness. A voice reports that the level has been absorbed and the armor wearer has reached level 200. A Cyclops with a red burning eye walks through the forest. The monster's eye burns with a fiery light. The monster sees a village up ahead. The huge Cyclops growls loudly with its mouth wide open. He rejoices that he has found what he was looking for. Ark suddenly appears and stabs the monster with his sword in a leap. The hero lands on the ground, rocks flying out from under his feet. Cyclops screams loudly in pain, clutching at his wounded arm, which is bleeding. Ark prepares to strike next. Looking into the Cyclops' eye, the boy apologizes to the monster for having to die at Ark's hand. Cyclops closes with his hands. Ark jumps up for a takedown. A level 200 hero tells the Cyclops that he wants to give him some advice. The guy recommends finishing off his enemies. Ark's sword glows with magical flames. The guy says that since Cyclops didn't do it, they're now of the same level, which the monster can see for himself. Ark's eyes glow with a red light. He motions for the monster to begin the battle. The hero clarifies that the monster should be more careful. Blood dripping from the leaves. Ark looks tired, and his hair is disheveled. The boy says that although he hated Zark, he had to kill an adventurer he knew with his own hand, so now the hero is furious. Ark clenches his teeth angrily. Cyclops lunges at Ark. Rocks fly out from under his feet. The grinning monster attacks. The hero jumps up. The surprised behemoth sees Ark's foot touch his shoulder. Guy pushes off the Cyclops' shoulder and swings his sword in a leap. Ark tries to pierce the monster's wings with his blade, but he fails. The boy lands behind the Cyclops' back. Looking at the monster's wings, Ark gets angry. The boy realizes that these wings are stronger than they look. Cyclops' eye begins to glow with purple fire. Ark swings his blade around, deciding he's not going to let the monster take any more shots. The hero notices that the Cyclops' gaze is not directed at him. The boy realizes that it was a trick. The monster leaps, shaking the ground, causing Ark to fly off to the side. Ark angrily held his sword in front of him. Cyclops rips the tree from the root and swings it around. Ark jumps up, trying to dodge it. The monster directs its gaze at the tree, cutting it into many pieces. A beam of energy hits Ark. The guy crashes into a rock. There are many bruises and abrasions on Ark's face. The guy doesn't understand why he can't defeat the Cyclops at the same levels. The hero pulls out the elixir. He is angry that the monster used a ruse. The guy drinks a potion to restore his health. Ark's eyes glow with a red light. He wipes his mouth with his hand and tells the monster that this is not the end. The guy runs to attack, jumping up with sword in hand. Cyclops lifts his head upward. His eye glows with a violet flame. A voice announces that a huge buildup of energy has been detected and immediate retreat is recommended. Clutching his sword with both hands, Ark is angry that the monster won't calm down. The monster's eye begins to glow even brighter. He tries to destroy Ark with a stream of energy, but the guy manages to dodge. The hero gets angry, attacking the Cyclops. Monster tries to flap his wings. Ark delivers a sharp blow to the monster's wings. The monster screams in pain as Ark shreds its wings. Cyclops looks at his bloody wing and growls loudly. Ark's gaze looks determined. The guy is glad he was able to wound the monster. Cyclops directs his gaze toward the village. One of the buildings is reflected in his eye. Ark notices where the enemy's gaze is directed. The guy is startled by his hunch. Cyclops pushes off the ground, creating rifts in it. The monster bounces high. Ark shouts to him, demanding that the monster stop. Cyclops pushes off the pile of rocks and jumps again. Ark realizes that the monster is targeting the village and wants to kill all of its inhabitants to regain his strength. The bracelet on Ark's arm lights up red. The boy's eyes burn the same way. He speeds up to stop the monster. The Cyclops is quickly approaching the village, and the hero tries to catch up with him, realizing that it is necessary to return quickly, because the village is in mortal danger. The astonished villagers see a huge black shadow of a Cyclops with a red eye. The monster approaches the village. People don't realize who's in front of them. The monster with a vicious scream directs a destructive beam directly into the crowd. There is an explosion. Frightened people start running away. Cyclops lets steam out of his mouth. Looking up, the monster begins to scream loudly, shaking everything around it. Ark sees the monster from the back. The guy is shocked that his enemy has attacked the village. Cyclops starts smashing up houses. The villagers flee in panic, begging for rescue. The monster's eye begins to glow with a purple light. Ark nervously declares that the monster is mocking him. The monster generates power and creates a beam of light. Something distracts the monster. Cyclops sees Ark land on the roof next to him. The monster tries to destroy the guy with an energy beam. Ark jumps, dodging, and urges the Cyclops to stop. An aggressive monster swings his fist to strike his opponent. The hero jumps up to strike. Ark lands and is surprised to notice the Cyclops crouching down, preparing to jump. Guy jumps back to stop the monster. The Cyclops bounces off the ground. The monster intends to catch Ark, but the guy in the air above the Cyclops' head swings his sword, preparing to strike. Ark throws a punch, about to hit the monster's eye, but the Cyclops closes with his hand clenched into a fist. Guy tries to injure his opponent by aiming for his eye. Ark pushes off the monster's arm for another jump. The hero resolutely raises his sword above his head, swinging it. The guy promises the monster that this is not all, and says that he will definitely save his village. Ark suggests that the Cyclops surrender and die. The monster covers his head with his arms crossed and begins to gather energy for the strike. His eye glows with a violet light. A huge beam of light comes out of the monster's eye and 4 more smaller beams in different directions. Ark is alarmed. He tries to dodge the dangerous beam. The guy is amazed, for he didn't expect the monster to attack him with his fist. Cyclops delivers a powerful blow, sealing Ark into the ground. The monster bounces by pushing off the roof of the house, causing the roof to collapse, creating cracks in the walls and on the windows. Ark lies face down in a hole formed in the ground after the monster struck. The hero tries to get up, leaning on his hands clenched into fists. The guy says he's not done yet. Getting up, Ark holds onto his bruised arm. The boy's head is down, but the hero realizes that only he can overcome such a strong demon. Ark exhales heavily. The guy raises his eyes full of determination and says there's no way he's giving up. The old baker man looks at someone with a smile. The fearless older man stands right in front of the monster. The baker raises his head, calling the demon a thug. Cyclops growls menacingly, pointing his clawed paws at the old man. The baker stays where he is, lowering his eyes. The elderly man says in a calm voice that this is a small village. Looking at the crowd of fleeing people, the baker reasons that even if he runs, they will still catch up. An elderly man opens one eye, looking at the Cyclops, who has lowered himself so that his head is level with the baker. The old man says that in this case, he only has to buy time for the hero. Closing his eyes, the baker notices that a hero has arrived. The monster is surprised to see Ark appear between him and the old man with a sword. The guy asks the baker with a smile if a ragamuffin like him could be a hero. The older man smiles good-naturedly and replies that Ark is a hero because he just came to the rescue. Staring intently at the monster, the hero says he doesn't know how to defeat this demon. Standing in front of the monster, he hears the baker say that it doesn't matter if they have the same level. Digging through one of his surviving drawers, the older man says that Ark shouldn't be filling his head with unnecessary thoughts. The baker tosses a surprised Ark some bread. The guy's surprised. Looking at the pastry that appeared in the guy's hand, Ark recognizes the same bread that the corpse gatherer ate. The baker tells the kid that by remembering those days, Ark will realize that the current situation is no different. The hero bites into the bread and says it's awful as usual. Ark's gaze becomes determined. Smiling, the guy thanks Grandpa for helping him gather his thoughts. Holding his sword in front of him with both hands, Ark asks the demon to apologize for keeping him waiting. Cyclops looks surprised at the hero, who offers to continue the battle. Against a backdrop of destroyed market stalls, the hero stands in front of the demon, pointing his blade at it. The monster grins as Ark suggests he continue the battle. The hero rushes swiftly towards the monster. His sword burns with scarlet flames. The monster tries to destroy the hero with a beam of energy, but Ark manages to dodge. The guy starts a fight with the demon, striking it erratically with his blade. The monster grabs Ark's arm as the hero leaps to deliver another blow. The boy is puzzled as the monster begins to spin him around. Ark manages to break free. The monster tosses him aside. Guy lands a nice leg kick. Looking at the monster, Ark tries to figure out how he can overpower this demon. The anxious guy turns around, hearing some sound. Ark sees a frightened little boy not far from him, who is huddled against a stone wall. The hero doesn't understand why the child is still here. The Cyclops screams loudly with its mouth open. Ark asks the boy to run away quickly. A frightened child admits he is scared and his legs won't move. Ark sees that the demon has spotted the child and is watching him. The monster bounces high and ends up next to the boy. Cyclops swings his fist, preparing to strike the child. The boy screams fearfully, presses himself against the wall and covers himself with his arms. Ark covers the child with himself, blocking the monster's blow. The boy yells that he won't let the monster hurt the boy. The baby opens his eyes tentatively. He's safe. The boy sees that Ark has covered him with himself from the monster's fist. The child is shocked. Ark is holding onto his chest, bent over. His mouth is bleeding. The hero asks the boy to run away. The child is confused and stays in the same place. Ark asks the boy to hurry, for he will no longer be able to restrain the monster. The child sits on the ground and says he can't move. The hero sees the demon's eye begin to glow with a purple light. With his head down, the boy prepares for the Cyclops attack. The hero persuades the boy to run away, expressing his confidence that he is a brave boy. The child is hesitant to rise to his feet. The boy agrees with Ark and tearfully promises not to be afraid. The kid's running away. Behind the running boy's back, the Cyclops is about to attack Ark. The hero praises the child who managed to escape. Ark raises his head, looking at his enemy. The demon generates energy while looking at the guy. The voice reports that a huge buildup of energy has been detected and recommends immediate retreat. Ark sighs heavily and apologizes to the armor of the abyss. The boy looks up tiredly. He realizes he can't get out of it this time. Cyclops creates a deadly beam of energy. The monster directs an energy beam at Ark. The boy can't stay on his feet. The powerful beam punches holes in the fence and buildings. He's destroying everything in his path. Ark lands, hitting his back against the wall and forming a rift in it. The boy holds his sword in front of him. The hero sees the Cyclops in front of him through holes in walls and buildings. He realizes that the demon has incredible power. Leaning on the wall and sitting on the ground, Ark thinks about the fact that even though he and the monster have the same level, the difference in strength is too great. A voice warns Ark that he needs immediate healing. The boy remembers about the potions. The hero tries to get the elixir, but realizes there is none. Ark sees the elixir on the ground a few meters away. The boy realizes he lost it on impact. The hero reaches out a shaking hand for the potion. He knows he must heal as soon as possible. Ark's gaze clouded over. The guy's hand drops as he slumps into the void, unconscious. Ark feels like he is floating in weightlessness. The guy doesn't realize where he's gone and worries that the village has been destroyed. Ark lifts a tired gaze. He struggles to reach for the light with his hand. The hero realizes that if he recovered, he could save the village. The guy reaches for the light and calls out for someone to help him. Someone pours an elixir into the mouth of Ark, who lies unconscious. The boy opens his eyes tiredly. He realizes that someone has given him a potion. A girl with long dark blonde hair tied back with a red ribbon leaned over Ark. A stranger in a pink dress notices that Ark has come to his senses. The boy looks at the girl with a tired look. Ark lifts himself up, leaning on his hands. He asks the stranger in surprise who she is. The girl says her name is Lyra. She says with a smile that she was born and raised in this village, so she wants to save it too. The girl's hair flutters in the wind. A blue-eyed, smiling girl holds a flask in her hand that contains an elixir. Lyra calls herself an ordinary village girl. Ark scrutinizes his interlocutor. Speaking of her native village, the girl presses her hands to her chest and the heart area. Lyra smiles broadly, expressing her hope of saving the village. The girl is determined. Cyclops yells loudly. Ark and Lyra turn around, hearing him growl. Ark tries to get up, leaning on his sword. Lyra asks him to hurry up, for the boy must return to the battle. Lyra looks hopefully at Ark. Embarrassed, the girl is about to say something to the guy. The hero is surprised that Lyra saw him fighting monsters for this village. The girl says with a smile that all the villagers are just as eager to protect their village, and are very grateful to Ark for trying to take down the monster. Lyra is about to go somewhere. The girl holds out her hand to Ark and says it's time for them to get out of here. Looking at Lyra, sweating from his efforts, Ark says he can't leave because no one else in the village can defeat this demon. Standing near the arch, Lyra replies that this is the reason. The guy's surprised. Fixing her hair, the girl explains with a smile that Ark must not lose to this monster. Standing against a backdrop of ruined houses, with dark smoke rising above the roofs, the girl says that if the villagers lose Ark, nothing will save this village. Thick gray smoke rises over the village. Some houses are destroyed. Ark's face is covered in blood. Gritting his teeth in pain and leaning on his sword, the lad tries to get up. Lyra tells the boy that he should avoid the monster until his wounds are healed. The hero pressed his lips together at the thought of his whole body aching. The guy decides he needs a little more rest before he can fight at full strength. Suddenly a demon appears. He lands next to Ark and Lyra after a jump. The Cyclops eye burns with a red light. Holding out her hand to Ark, Lyra says hurriedly that they have to run. The hero side-eyes the monster and considers what to do. Squinting his eyes, Ark says emotionally that he understands. The guy takes Lyra's hand. Ark and Lyra quickly escape from an aggressive Cyclops who intends to catch them by extending a clawed paw. Lyra runs into an alley and asks Ark to follow her. The monster chases after them. A guy and a girl are running down the street. Ark asks Lyra how she knows his name. Continuing to run, the girl replies that Ark is very popular in this village. The hero clarifies if the girl knows him as the corpse collector. Lyra is surprised. The girl stops and shuffles from foot to foot in embarrassment. Lyra turns to the guy and replies with a smile that she knows that nickname of Ark as well, but to her he is a hero. The girl says that when the village was attacked by werewolves, she too was among the people the monsters wanted to devour. Ark looks at Lyra in surprise, remembering the werewolf pack. The girl smiles embarrassedly and says she has faith in Ark. Smiling broadly, Lyra expresses her confidence that the guy can save this village. The guy looks in surprise at the girl who admires him. The hero raises his hand, clenching it into a fist. Standing in front of Lyra, he confidently says that he will definitely kill the monster and save the village. Ark smiles, extending his hand to Lyra. The girl smiles back. Suddenly there is a strange sound of fighting. Ark and Lyra turn around sharply. The guy and the girl are surprised to hear someone screams. Looking out from behind the wall of the house, they see a man in a hat and red robe, looking like an outlaw, pulling a girl by the hair. He calls for someone to drag people faster. Ark and Lyra see two horse-drawn wagons. Standing nearby are armed men in blue suits and hats. One of the men is bald and shirtless. In the background of a building with a burning roof, a man in a red robe pushes a frightened girl towards another man. He tells her to hurry because the monster will get here soon. Tilting his head back, the man in the robe says that even if they openly kidnap people, no one will stop them. The bandit laughs loudly, saying it's time to earn some money. Watching from the corner of the house, Ark realizes that now is not the time to fight the bandits and that everything is happening at a very bad time. He is angry that this is happening now. One of the brigands laughs as he holds the loot in his hands. He encourages his friends to take what they can carry. Lyra is alarmed that these people are acting so inhumanely. Ark peers around the corner, lips tight with indignation. Suddenly, Lyra's gaze becomes frightened. As he continues to peer around the corner, Ark promises that he will deal with these brigands. He asks Lyra to stay here for a while. The guy turns around and looks shocked. Ark sees Lyra being taken hostage by a bald, bulky man. He holds a knife to the frightened girl's face. Ark is alarmed. Guy worried for Lyra. Looking at her frightened face, a terrified Lyra grabs the arm of the thug, who holds her with a steely grip. The thug tells Ark that if he doesn't want his girlfriend to get hurt, the guy should drop his gun. An outlaw warns a worried Ark not to do anything stupid. The hero grudgingly agrees. The man in the red robe turns around, spotting Ark and Lyra. He is puzzled by the question of who they are. The bandit leader tells the thug that he has already explained that they don't need men. A startled Lyra closes her eyes. The bandit leader considers the girl, calling her a beauty. He approaches Lyra and scrutinizes her intently, rubbing his chin thoughtfully. The leader of the brigands smirks echidnously, with a sly smile and burning eyes. He says he can sell this girl for a high price. Turning to the brigands, Ark asks to hear him out. The boy speaks in a confident voice. He asks the bandits how they have the nerve to commit such atrocities when the village is in danger. The leader of the brigands laughs at Ark's words. He says he doesn't care what happens to this village. The man's face turns serious when he says that the brigands originally came to this village to loot it. As they approach Ark, the bandit leader says that the villagers are still lucky the bandits didn't kill them all. The hero looks angry. Ark angrily clenched his teeth. The angry guy calls the brigands bastards. Smiling, the bandit leader croaks, saying in a mocking tone that he has become very scared. After getting as close to Ark as possible, the man asks him if he is an adventurer. The man mockingly tells Ark that it's too bad the guy can't do anything, even being strong. The gang leader looks at a terrified Lyra, who is being held back by a thug. The man says it's time for the outlaws to move out. With a sly smile, he orders the thug to be more careful with the girl. Ark is standing behind the back of the gang leader, who tells his men that he doesn't want this guy to interfere. Ark angrily clenched his teeth. Looking at the criminals, Ark decides that as soon as the opportunity arises, he will seize the moment and save Lyra. A large knife gleams in someone's hand. Someone points a knife at the back of the thug who is holding Lyra down. The leader of the brigands turns around sharply. Seeing danger, he fearfully shouts to his buddies to be careful. Mill lunges at the thug with a knife. Bandit is calm. Ark anxiously calls out to the girl. Gromala sets up a leg kick and Mill loses his balance. The girl falls to the ground. A thug with an indifferent look tells Mill that she can't beat him and he's beyond her. Lying on the ground, Mil replies that she wasn't going to do that. The thug looks at the girl puzzled. Mill reports with a smile that she was just the bait. At that moment, Ark attacks the shaven-headed bulky man from behind. The thug is stunned. Ark's eyes glow with red flames. Guy throws the big man aside with one punch. He flies with his tongue out and lets Lyra out of his arms. Ark catches the girl. The thug falls to the ground behind Ark, who lowers the girl to the ground. Holding Lyra's hand, the hero asks her to hide. The gang leader pulls out a gun. He urges the other bandits to get rid of Ark quickly. Bandits surround the guy. The steel-eyed hero asks the bandits if they're sure they want to attack him, since he doesn't plan to restrain his power. The bandits are puzzled. The gang leader looks scared but tries to be brave, smiling and telling Ark that his guys aren't afraid of anything. The man calls the guy a goon who pretends to be a hero. The expression on Ark's face remains impenetrable. The boy gives the bandits one last warning. The brigands attack Ark from all sides, swinging their blades. The boy remains motionless, looking at the burning roofs of buildings. The hero says he understands. Ark looks at the thug, who is lying on the ground with his tongue out. The guy recalls the thug's words that he can't be defeated and is beyond his enemies. Ark's eyes glow with red fire. The guy is enveloped in the magic of his armor. He confidently tells his enemies that they can't defeat him. The hero warns that they have too big a difference in levels. Ark makes sharp strokes with his blade. The voice of the armor reports the absorption of enemy levels. The corpses of the bandits are on the ground. Blood everywhere. The hero stands in front of the frightened bandit leader. Ark's armor glows with a red magical glow. The enemy asks the guy what he is, because adventurers can't be that fast. Standing with blade in hand in front of his frightened opponent, Ark replies that unfortunately for him, he is no ordinary adventurer. With eyes burning with magical light, Ark reports that he is level 200.